Hi, friends. So I've got another read aloud to do for you, and this one is called Perfectly Norman. Perfectly Norman. And I picked this book because I think sometimes when there's things about us that are different from our friends, we think it's a problem, and we worry that they won't like us if they find out how we're feeling inside or something that's unique about us. But the cool thing in this book is that Norman finds out that he's perfectly Norman. Perfectly Norman by Tom Percival. Perfectly Norman. Norman had always been normal, perfectly normal, until one day he grew a pair of wings. Norman had imagined growing taller or growing a beard like his dad, but he had never imagined growing a pair of wings. Still, they were here now, so he decided to test them out right away. Soon, Norman was swooping around and generally having the most fun ever. But then he had to go in for dinner. You see, Norman had always been so normal. He didn't know how his parents would feel about his extraordinary wings. Dinner! As he went in, Norman covered himself up in a great big coat. His parents didn't notice the wings, but they did think it was odd to be wearing a big coat indoors. Bath time was problematic. So was bedtime. The coat was hot and uncomfortable, but Norman had decided that no one should see his wings ever. The next day, Norman went to the park, but he was far too hot to play any of his favorite games. And so it went on. Long car journeys were unbearable. The swimming pool was dreadful. And that was nothing compared to his friend's birthday party. Guys, it's so sad. Norman's trying to hide his big, beautiful wings. And in hiding them, he's not able to do the things he really wants to do. The only time that Norman could feel normal now was when it rained. One day, a boy tried to pull off his coat, and Norman had to run away, hot-faced, angry, and sad. He wished he'd never grown those stupid wings. Then he saw some birds high up in the sky, and he remembered the joy of his first flight. And it occurred to Norman that it was the coat that was making him miserable, not his wings. don't you take that tatty old thing off?" suggested his mom and dad. Norman looked up at them hesitantly. His parents smiled and they nodded. Norman smiled back, and then he threw off the coat and he let his wonderful wings fan out. Norman leapt into the air. Finally, he was free of that coat. He noticed a few other children wearing thick, heavy coats of their own. They looked up at Norman and rounded each other nervously. There was a moment's pause. And then, whoosh! The sky was filled with flying people. Norman had never felt so happy. He realized that there was no such thing as perfectly normal, but he was perfectly Norman, which meant he was just as he should be. So, friends, I think this book is a great reminder to be yourself and to never try to be anybody else, and to also not be worried about the things about you that make you unique and special. Because Norman was a lot happier once he accepted that he had those wings. And even though he was different, he realized that that was okay. And he was happy, and that a lot of his friends were different too. So that story is called Perfectly Norman. I hope you liked it, and I hope you have fun just being you, because you're amazing. All right, have a great day.